I currently run a multiple six-figure business. I am active across 4 social media channels: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. Yeah, and then like an email newsletter. I mean, there's a few, right? The point I'm trying to make here is that I'm doing a lot of things, and people often ask me how I get everything done and how I organize myself as a content creator and as a business owner. So if you've ever wondered that, or if you're just looking for some really great organization tips, love that I just called my own tips great, but they are, then this video is going to be for you. And I'm going to actually show you how I do these things. I'm not just going to speak at you. Also, this video is sponsored by Maple, more on them later. And if you're new to this channel and you haven't hit subscribe yet, then I'm going to need you to do that right now, because I upload new content just like this video every single week. Okay, let's break this down step by step, shall we? Step 1, when it comes to organizing yourself as a business owner or a content creator, is actually one that you're probably not expecting, and it's to get clear on your North Star. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth are you talking about? You might be thinking, I've clicked on the wrong video, this girl has lost her mind. What I'm referring to here is your North Star is basically like your why. It's your guiding light. It's the reason why you get up and you create content every day. It's the reason why you work on your products or your services. That is what your North Star is. And the reason why this is important in the concept of organizing yourself as a business owner is you have to be really clear on why you need to get a lot of these things done, because otherwise you will rely on motivation, and motivation is incredibly fleeting. It will not be around forever. And when you rely on motivation, more often than not, you end up not doing some of the things that you need to do as part of your business. You don't follow the tips that I share in this video because you end up just thinking, God, I can't be bothered. You don't keep on track when it comes to all of the amazing organization systems that you put into place because you do not feel motivated to do so, and you don't have a clear reason for doing any of those things. So when it comes to your North Star, it has to be something a lot deeper than you just aiming to grow on Instagram. You really need to get to the crux of the reason why you need to organize yourself and why you're running this business or becoming a creator. So a quick exercise that you can do that's going to help you get to this level is, first of all, write down the first thing that comes to your head when I ask you this question. And the question is, what are you trying to achieve? Now, I'm willing to bet that the first answer is going to be something along the lines of, I'm trying to gain 10,000 followers, or I'm trying to make £10,000 a month. Fine. You now want to ask yourself why. So if you answered, I'm trying to make £10,000 a month, ask yourself why you're trying to make £10,000 a month. Once you've written down that next answer, I want you to again ask yourself why. And usually once you do this 2 or 3 times, you get to the real crux of the reason why you are running this business, becoming a content creator, and therefore the reason why you want to become more organized. Let me give you an example. The answer to the original question might be something like, I'm trying to grow my audience size. So if I ask you why, the next answer might sound like, well, because I want to make more money. And then if I ask you why again, the final answer might be something along the lines of, because I want to support my family. That is your North Star. That is a thing that's going to help you implement all of the tips that I'm about to share with you. That's a thing that's going to override your motivation and keep you disciplined. That is a thing what's going to allow you to reach your goals, and that is why that is the first step in this video. Okay, so step 2 is to break down your mini goals that's going to help you achieve your North Star. So let's say with that example, you're trying to support your family. Amazing. Now let's break down all of the things that you need to do in order to reach that goal. So for example, you might realize that in order to support your family better, you need to grow an audience on Instagram. You might also realize that you need to create a website, or maybe you realize that you need to work with more brands. Write down at least 3 goals that's going to help you reach your North Star and get really clear on what those are, because now we're going to move over to step 3, and you need those 3 goals before we get to that step. Okay, so step 3 now, we now need to map out all of the tasks that you need to complete in order for you to reach those goals. So one of those examples was maybe you need to increase your following on Instagram. Now, in order for you to do that, you probably need to be sharing a certain amount of posts per week on Instagram. You probably want to be spending a little bit of time responding to your comments every week on Instagram. Maybe you want to be doing some content research and ideation every week so that your content gets better, right? Write down all of the tasks that you need to do in order for you to reach those goals. Now, the key here is to get really good at forward planning and to avoid just writing like a to-do list, because what we want to do is get really clear on what needs to be done when, and really a lot of the time these things need to be planned well into the future. So maybe you need to launch your website. Amazing. It's probably going to take you a couple months to do that. So you want to plan out all of the tasks that you need to do over the next couple of months that's going to help you reach that goal. More often than not, one of the biggest issues that we run into when it comes to organizing ourselves as a creator or a business owner is that we get really overwhelmed because we're like, oh my God, there's so much that we need to do and I don't know how I'm going to get it all done. One of the most effective ways to combat that feeling of overwhelm is to forward plan. When you have sight of what needs to be done when, well into the future, it actually makes it a lot easier for you to digest what you need to do now, right? It's like back in school when you'd be set an essay to get done and you're like, oh my God, I've got to write 3,000 words on this topic. I can't even imagine how I'm going to get this done. This is so overwhelming. Whereas if you actually break down what you need to do when, which parts of the essays you're going to have done by, it becomes significantly less overwhelming, because now you're thinking, well, yeah, I've got a big essay to write, but actually by the end of this week, all I need to do is write the introduction. All right, I'm going to take a quick break from these steps just to give you an absolute pro tip when it comes to organizing yourself as a business owner or a content creator. And the tip is to hire people who can do things better and quicker than you. This is something that has massively changed the trajectory of my business so far. But if I'm being honest, if I nailed this from the beginning, then I would be significantly further along in my journey than I currently am. And one way that I could have nailed this from the get-go is by using Maple. Now, I mentioned before that this video is very kindly sponsored by Maple. And the reason why I want to talk about Maple in the context of being organized is because Maple allows you to find vetted freelancers to help you complete very highly specialist marketing tasks, which will help you grow and just generally become a lot more organized as a business owner. Now, Maple is super unique in the sense that every freelancer or boutique agency that Maple might partner you with has been vetted, and they've spent thousands of hours vetting these freelancers. Like, they put in the work when it comes to checking who they're actually going to partner you up with. And not only that, but when they partner you with these freelancers or these boutique agencies, they stay with you throughout the process to ensure that whoever is working for you is actually delivering on what you need and helping you get the results that you want. Maple is also powered by data, which basically means that they use a whole load of data to ensure that whoever you end up working with is the right fit for you. But they also use data to provide strategic recommendations from a dedicated growth strategist. You can now not only hire an expert, but you can also hire a consultant to conduct an audit of your marketing, everything from your ad accounts all the way through your emails. You can also book a consultation hour with said expert. So if you're interested in hiring a vetted freelancer to help you get more organized, but also get better results for your business, I highly recommend checking out Maple. You can even get $500 off if you use the link in my description. All right, let's get back to the steps. Step 4 is to time block. So we've now got to the point where we're really clear on what our North Star is. We know which goals we need to achieve in order to reach that North Star. And also we know the tasks that we need to do in order to reach those goals, right? So we're just kind of moving further down that line. So we're now at the stage where we need to start planning our day-to-day workload in order for us to reach that North Star. And how we do that is by looking at the tasks that we've planned over the next couple of months. And on a daily basis, we want to look at what we've scheduled to get done. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll look at what we've scheduled to get done that day, and then we'll just be like, okay, let me roll up my sleeves and get going. And I respect it, but there's a better way for us to actually manage our workload on a day-to-day basis. And that way is by doing time blocking. Now, time blocking is essentially a process where you take the tasks that you need to get done on a daily basis and you allocate a specific time slot for you to get that task done. So I'm going to show you on the screen what my Google Calendar looks like, which is what I use to do my time blocking, but you can use other programs as well. And this is essentially what my Google Calendar looks like on a daily basis. So I will look at the list of tasks that I need to get done either that day or the following day. I like to normally wrap up my days by planning my following day, and I will allocate time slots to each task. Now, this is incredibly important for a few reasons. The first reason is, more often than not, our to-do lists have too much stuff on them. And what happens is we work through our to-do list, we don't get everything done, and then we get really annoyed with ourselves and we feel like the day was a failure because we weren't able to squeeze 20 hours worth of work into a 9-hour work day, right? So what we need to do instead is get really clear on how long each task is going to take, and then realistically plan those tasks out. And by doing that, we'll have a clear view on what we can actually get done that day. And therefore, if there's things that we can't get done that day, we can already reschedule them to later on in the week and make sure they can get done in a timely manner. And the result is that by the end of each day, you feel accomplished because you've got everything done on your list, but also you have a clear view on what you need to be doing for the rest of the week. So genuinely, your life becomes a lot easier. It can take some getting used to time blocking, especially when you're new to it, because a lot of the time we don't know how long each task is going to take when we haven't been paying attention to that in the past. But that's okay. You get used to it and you start to learn how much time to allocate to each task the more you do it. If you want to take it one step further, you can color code, as I'm sure you can tell that I've done on my Google Calendar. I like to color code things. It helps me like immediately understand what I'm going to be focusing on at different parts of the day. And also it can allow me to get a bit strategic and move certain tasks closer together if they've got the same color code. So for example, if I know I'm going to be working on one of my programs today and I've scheduled bits of time to work on that program throughout the day and it's a bit sporadic, I can look at that and think, well, it makes more sense for me to group all of those tasks together and get them done in one big block of time. So that is why I color code and why you might want to color code too. Okay, so step 5. You might be surprised that there's another step because you might be thinking, what else is there to do? Well, there is. This step is to avoid rescheduling your tasks too often. So outside of when you're doing your time block and you realize, oh, I don't have enough time to get some of this stuff done, let me put it to another day, that's okay. What I'm referring to is when you've set your tasks for the day, you've time blocked your day, and you've still not done one of those tasks, even though you had the time to do it. And what this basically is a method of procrastination. There are some tasks that we just do not want to do. Doesn't matter if we schedule the time to get it done, we don't want to do it, so we keep on putting it off. We move it to the next week and then to the next week. There are always tasks that all of us have, regardless of how productive you are, okay? We all have those tasks. So don't lie to me and tell me that you don't, because I know that you do. And what I'm referring to here with this step is to get really clear on the reasons why you're rescheduling that task. I like to say that if you reschedule a task more than 3 times, you've lost respect for it and it's probably not going to get done. So what I want you to do when you notice that you've rescheduled a task a lot is to ask yourself, does the task actually need to get done? And if the answer is yes, it does need to get done, I want you to dig deep and ask yourself why you're not doing it then. Is it that it feels too difficult and you've not done enough prep work to understand how you're actually going to get the task done? Like, what is the barrier that's stopping you from getting it done, right? I also want you to think about a small thing you can do which will make that task easier for you to actually complete. Maybe it's you giving yourself a reward if you get it done, right? Maybe it's you breaking down that task into smaller chunks. If you answered no to the question, does the task really need to get done? Then I really recommend that you either delete it and be like, cool, it's not getting done then, let's stop fooling myself and rescheduling it every week, or you delegate it to someone else. Okay, and that is where Maple could come in, because they're going to get you a really talented, vetted freelancer. Okay guys, those are my 5 steps. If you feel like checking out Maple, I really recommend that you do. Link in my description. Remember, you can get $500 off. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching this video. It's all about my top 5 lessons that all creators and business owners need to hear and need to learn at some point, because it will fast track your growth and your journey. Thank you so much for watching. As always, can't wait to see you in my next video.